This is a true story of how a group of elderly men, mostly grandparents, stole $24.8 million worth of precious items from an underground vault in London's jewelry district. It was one of the biggest and most elaborate heists in the history of the United Kingdom. The police thought it was the work of a highly trained, organized crime group which operates across Europe, but they were surprised the moment they knew the truth. How did they do it? And what simple mistake did they make that would cost them their freedom? This is their amazing story.
MTV Facts. Yeah.
Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Limited is one of the oldest and most trusted companies in the field of safekeeping. Such an establishment is estimated to contain hundreds of millions of British pounds worth of jewelry, diamonds, gold, silver, and other expensive items from the most luxurious jewelry companies and residents of London. This is the main reason why the group chose Hatton Garden as the target of their daring heist. Although there were small-time robberies happening around Hatton Garden in those days, the Hatton Garden Vault was believed to be the most reliable and secure way to keep expensive items. According to well-known and ex-criminal British gang lord, Robert Bobby Comines, entering the Hatton Garden Vault seems like getting a gold medal in the Olympics. It is said that successfully breaking into the building is proof that you deserve to be called a master or expert in the field of crime. So when the authorities, the media, and the police found out that the most secure place in Hatton Garden had been raided, everyone was shocked. Many said and believed that the perpetrators of such an operation were highly trained ex-military personnel. Others claimed that Europe's biggest criminal organizations were working together to break into one of the UK's most famous buildings. Because apart from the complex robbery of such a building, since it is located in a crowded area, advanced machinery and gadgets will also be needed to succeed in stealing from it. But everyone was wrong. When the police released the identity of the men who stole from the Hatton Garden Vault, everyone was even more shocked. Most people couldn't believe it, and their jaws almost dropped at the information they heard on TV and read in the newspaper. According to the locals there, the people who did the heist is infuriating, but amazing at the same time. This group consisted of mostly senior citizens and grandpas. Their leader was Brian Reeder, who is already 76 years old. He went to their meeting place on the day of the crime in a public bus using his pensioner's pass. Their getaway driver, John Collins, was already 75 years old and is currently dealing with his arthritis, diabetes, and severe forgetfulness. Another members were 67-year-old named Terry Perkins, who said he was taking 29 different medications a day for his various ailments. William Lincoln, who is 60 years old, and underwent 2 hip replacement surgeries before committing the crime. Another man named Danny Jones is also involved in this heist and seems to be not in his right mind because he thinks his pet dog is a real person, and an alias Basil who, according to the authorities, is probably the real mastermind of this crime. These grandfathers are no novices in their fields. In fact, their police records have a colorful history of robbery, forgery of documents, sale of contraband, extortion, and so on. That's why when they went and planned their one last run or one last walk, because it was difficult for others to run, their preparation went smoothly. Everyone has a role to play in their master plan. First, they took advantage of the internet and watched various YouTube videos that would teach them how to operate a large drill, to drill holes in the thick concrete of the Hatton Garden. They decided to use a Hilti drill DD 350. A big, powerful, but quiet drill to minimize noise while doing whatever drilling they were going to do. They also read a book titled Forensics for Dummies to learn how to hide their traces so that they cannot be used as evidence after the crime. After a few days of resting, drinking their maintenance medicines, and preparing, the grandpas immediately embarked on their sinister plan. On Thursday, April 2nd, 2015, the group arrived at Hatton Garden around 8:20 p.m. In order to enter the building without much suspicion, the grandfathers dressed like maintenance workers. Basil gained access to the building for unknown reasons, but speculation is that he had an inside contact to leave a fire escape door open on the side street of Hatton Garden. Their equipment were loaded in plastic trash bins or wheelie bins that they pushed inside the building. While inside, Basil seems to have mastered already the steps he must take. He disabled the CCTV cameras and alarm system of the said establishment. but he forgot to cut one alarm system there, and it gave a signal to the building security company that owns Hatton Garden. But when a guard went to check the building's premises, he reported back that nothing unusual was happening in Hatton Garden. The group was able to hide, so their plan continued. This happened because of an unexpected or seemingly funny incident. Their getaway driver and lookout, 75-year-old John Collins, the one who was tasked to alert his colleagues if there is imminent danger or if the security guards were approaching. He was just across the street, but maybe due to his medical condition or old age, John fell asleep. Fortunately, the guard was too lazy to check the entire building interior and did not find the group hiding inside. Grandpa John continued to sleep soundly. By this time, the group inside Hatton Garden was already in the basement. Here, they have located the location of their target vault. To get there, they broke down 2 metal gates with their equipment from the plastic trash bins. And once they were in the vault, they wasted no time and immediately set up their Hilti DD 350 drill. In these cases, all they had to do was drill and wait. After about 3 hours, a bad news came to them. The back portion of a steel safety deposit cabinet blocked them from entering the large hole they made. But it cannot be moved no matter how much they tried pushing it aside because it is bolted to the ceiling and floor of the building. At this time, they have to decide if they should continue with it. Should they take the millions inside the vault, or just give up and avoid getting caught by the police? According to the saying, quitters never win, but for Brian Reeder, that was the sign not to continue. Brian said that the operation is giving him too much stress. He quit. But for the remaining members of the group, the operation is still ongoing. These grandpas really won't give up. They left the vault and bought additional equipment the next day, one of which was a large hydraulic ram. In the evening, the group wasted no time and returned to the exact spot where they were stuck. Once they set up their new best friend, a hydraulic ram, they immediately put it to use and knock over the blocking cabinet. And when they got into the hole they made, they said, the scenes that followed looked like it was Christmas Day. After a long beating and fiddling with the safety deposit boxes, they were able to steal various luxury items such as pearls, gold, silver, expensive jewelry, watches, cash, and others. But even though their heist seemed flawless, they only opened 73 deposit boxes, even though there were 996 deposit boxes there. Perhaps due to fatigue and a weak body brought on by old age, the group decided that they had enough, and it was time to leave. The total value of precious items they took from the Hatton Garden vault was about 14 million sterling pounds, equivalent to 19.8 million pounds or $24.8 million in today's value of money. After the incident was reported, the news spread quickly in London. The police immediately sprung into action, and the media wasted no time to release the information about one of the biggest heists in London's history. The crime the grandpas committed seemed well planned and seamless. But they also seem to have forgotten that they are in modern times where CCTVs are everywhere on the streets. And when the getaway driver John Collins surveyed the area with his white Mercedes-Benz car 5 times, a CCTV captured it. And the footages from the CCTV were used by the police to track him down. Using a plate number recognition technology, the owner of the white Mercedes-Benz was immediately identified and John Collins was arrested. And it's also without hesitation that Collins mentioned Brian Reeder as one of his companions to the authorities, and so the other members of the group were identified. The suspects' cars were fitted with bugging devices, and the police recorded their conversations while they were in the streets and pubs while meeting. According to the authorities, in the conversations of the grandpas, they seemed to be boasting about what to do with the wealth they got and how they implemented their master plan. According to Peter Spindler, the police commander and head of this case, they wanted to monitor the group members for some time to get more information about their intrusion in Hatton Garden. The police watched them closely for 6 weeks and waited for the perfect timing to arrest these mischievous old men. And the opportunity they were waiting for is the day, time, and place where they would split their loot. Of course, the police want to arrest them. But the point of the operation was not only to imprison, but also to recover the stolen treasures and return them to Hatton Garden or their owners. At 9:44 in the morning on May 19, 2015, the group met up in a public parking lot to split the items they stole. Unbeknownst to them, the police have been watching their every move using CCTV cameras scattered around the area. After transferring the 3 bags of jewelry from a van, the police immediately took action. All those involved in such crime were arrested. The police finally got their hands on the grandpas, who successfully looted what was hailed as the most secure vault in London. According to Police Commander Peter Spindler, when these thieves were about to be arrested, one of them tried to run, one urinated in fear and panic, and the others were playing dumb that they didn't know whom they were with. The evidence the court presented against them overwhelmed Brian Reeder, John Collins, Daniel Jones, Terry Perkins, and William Lincoln. Various footages, recordings of their conversations, and pictures of the group talking on the streets and pubs were the evidence gathered against them, and they were judged guilty and sentenced to 7 years in prison each. The police recovered some of the stolen items worth £6 million, but there is a missing £13.8 million worth of precious stuff the police have not yet recovered. As for their colleague Basil, he was no longer found or identified after the trial was concluded, and the other members were sent to prison. Robert Bobby Cummines, an ex-gang lord in London, said that if they were all as smart as Basil, they would not have been arrested by the authorities, and their heist could have been a perfect masterpiece. Terry Perkins died in prison in 2018 at the age of 69. Although the men own various homes in Spain and London, until now they are still not able to hand over the unrecovered jewelry, gold, gems, and cash stolen from the Hatton Garden vault. Because of this, they might face another 7 years of jail time. Basil was finally caught in 2019 and was sentenced to 10 years behind bars.